Skynight. Welcome back with us. Sorry for the brief technical delay. We should be ready and raring to go back with you all shortly. And don't worry, you're not missing anything. We are still waiting with these teams to get into Lijiang Tower. Night Market, I believe, was first. I don't believe we saw the two teams with what they decided to go for, though. So no real sense of who it will benefit to start off with. But I believe we are ready to go in now. So we will be in there in 2 seconds, and we should be back with the game. Skynight, Night Market, what are you playing here?
Well, whenever I played Night Market in like a competitive sense, I always just like playing Sim because of the TP to the window. You know, it's like
yeah, that's fair.
a
It's
little
a
strap.
classic.
I think for these teams in particular, with the Kiriko ban that Houston went for, I think they're probably gonna want to stick with the Queen, and they're probably gonna want to stick with the Alari because Lijiang it's not an awful Alari map, right? And it's a decent Queen map, right? So I think they're probably gonna be looking to play. Okay, well, I was right on the Alari, wrong on the Queen, but yeah, I don't know. What do you think of these comps right now?
Not loving seeing a Life Weaver. I'm glad that that's switching over to an Honor. I think that's the better comp, but it's going to be both teams mirroring the Zarya as well, so going to be quite scary depending on who gets the charge first and who's more disciplined. I think that's going to win out these fights.
Yeah, I mean, Small Hachi immediately getting a lot of poke onto the Houston in-laws backline there, but they have that Alari pylon, they have a little nest bunkered up there, but Thyra gonna making a very risky rotation as Jinzi spotted that and kills the backline of Bristol. What? He's killed 3 people immediately! All body shots, but who cares? You're getting the kills regardless. Space doing a little bit of parkour through the window as Houston, off the back of Jinzi getting 4 kills in that fight, gonna get initial point control of Night Market.
Yeah, it's a rough day for Thyra. She tries to make the adjustment over towards the point, but I think Alucard took the bubble instead, and that meant that the Ana was just a sitting duck for Jinzi to be able to use that Hanzo, and just the storm arrows completely obliterated her. They do move on to point now, though. They're looking to take some control. Space is having none of it, and neither's Jinzi again. So many kills already for that Hanzo. Maybe they shouldn't have banned Reaper if he's going to do this well on that Archer character.
He's hitting arrow after arrow right now. He's Hawkeye on the Hanzo, and Spacey's just getting all up in there. It doesn't really matter when you can play as aggressive as you want when you're up 2 people. I think Bristol, they're just gonna try kite out here as USS, or sorry, not whoa, Houston maintain control of the objective.
Right, we're in. We're in the game. USS is in here, but Spacey has a lot of charge, and that is absolutely terrifying. They've also reset Small Hachi as well, so just the benefit of winning fights on Zarya in the mirror means that you're going to have more damage in the short term and potentially the long term as well if your team stays disciplined. Jinzi looking to scout out the team, doesn't find anyone with the scouting arrow, but not much that they're able to do to be able to get towards the Hanzo, but they do find the first blood though. Emilio using the ult, and now Small Hachi goes for the desperate play, but it doesn't find anything.
No.
Right? It's a rough time, and it looks like it's going to be a very strong Night Market for Houston. Whether they're going to be able to touch, they've got Alucard going onto the Tracers, going to touch point, but has to back away immediately. Jinzi is on the hunt, and the headshot onto the Tracer is going to spell disaster for Bristol. They put everything in the kitchen sink has been stuck onto Kill Day, but they don't find anything with the blade. And now that they've used the B and the Nano, they have nothing else. Small Hachi's trying to stay alive, but it's Jinzi who finds one. Emilio finds the second. The DPS doing all the work, and Spacey cleans up in the end. You do have Alucard back there, but it's not even worth touching. Just decides to back away, and a very strong 0.1 for Houston.
Yeah, I mean, Houston their DPS, obviously the rest of their team played well as well. You know, you gotta be very disciplined in Azaria Com. You can't shoot the balls, you can't charge Smohachi because, I mean, he was doing God's work on sort of Asa. But the DPS of Houston, out of nowhere, they were playing good on the other map, but oh my goodness, like, Jinzi, every fight it seemed like he was getting like 2 kills, which is just precisely what you want from your DPS, right? And Emilio at the end popping up as well, saying, you know what, I'm a DPS as well, guys, don't forget about me. And yeah, excellent work from Houston on that point there.
Yeah, they were hovering around. They decided to go with the Winston. We'll see how this plays out, and it's not exactly just a switch over onto the Tracer. You'd think Alucard would be the one doing that, but instead, they are going to look to posture with this Winston, trying to take point and looking onto the backline, and there is the star player from Night Market out of the way already, and a good job from them to collapse onto Jinzi without the Zarya there.
Yeah, Bristol, I think they came out with a comp that Houston maybe weren't expecting, but it's not over yet as Kilday gets landed by support main there from Houston as Spacey manages to finish the job. Alucard going to be dropping 1 HP as Spacey finds his second kill. Fyra's going to get the kill onto her opposite number as Jinzi comes back with a vengeance, kills Small Hachi with a headshot. And now it's just Emilio on the point, just dinking people, and Jinzi kills 3-2 headshots, 1 body. Who is this guy?
There's a reason that they decided to collapse onto the Hanzo at the start of that fight, but it doesn't matter. Back from the grave and finding headshot after headshot. And, I mean, you got to stop this guy. He's doing way too much for them. You've got to find a way to stop him. They found it initially in that fight, but it takes them too long to take the point, and it means that he's able to come back and just take some heads.
I mean, he's landing so many shots, and I think that's why Bristol have maybe gone onto this comp. But Alucard going to be scaling quite nicely onto Invicta here. Going to need some help from her, from the cast, but Alucard just going to be forced back as Spacey continues to hold the front line. Houston have a bit of a better brawl as Spacey goes for the grab and is going to be Kilday stranded helpless in the black hole. And the Nano's going to come onto Small Hachi, despite being 2 players down. They're putting all the eggs in the Small Hachi basket, and it gets the kill onto Invicta. Maybe looking for the Ana on the high ground, but Deadeye from Emilio is going to try to shut things down. But Alucard gets the pulse bomb onto Emilio to shut that down, but Jinzi gets the trade back. And it's going to be looking good for Houston here as Spacey gets 2 kills, and it's only going to be Alf and Kilday alive, and I think they should just reset here and go back in as 5.
Yeah, you have to get out of here if you're Alf, and already going down low, but able to get away from the beam of the Zarya. Spacey still has a hell of a lot of charge for this, and even though they don't have the grab, maybe something special could be coming from Jinzi again. Dragon arrows not potentially the best thing in the world, but it's Emilio who opens up this fight instead. Says, I want to turn at hitting some heads. And Alucard goes down immediately in this fight. And now it looks like the Dragon Arrow does get 1 as well. Nice anti onto Jinzi, but it's not going to do anything. Bursts down the Winston, and there's not much left here. Alucard's going to have to try and touch.
Yeah, it's all on Alucard right now. Wait, doesn't even get a touch. Medio. I mean, the DPS of Houston have just turned online this game. I think someone from Crazy Raccoons like logged onto their account or something. This is crazy. Jinzi's going to be getting a couple kills there. Bubble onto support man, keep him alive versus the dive. I guess another kill. I mean, what can... Oh, nasty deflect from Kilday there. You know, maybe the Bristol DPS have something to say about it, but Medio shuts that down right out the gate. Gets 2 kills of his own, and it's just going to be Alucard again. Looking for the touch. Manages to get it this time. Recall forced, but he's just going to give up and let Houston get that well-deserved map 2 there.
Yeah, this was completely in Houston's favor. They find the 2-0 on Lijiang Tower, and it looks like the map was the right choice for them. They did a hell of a lot in this, the 2 DPS of Houston. We were talking about Jinzi for so long, but deciding that Emilio wanted the time in the spotlight as well, clicked some heads of their own, and my word, you've got to stop these 2 guys. They're doing way too much for them. It's insane the amount of pressure that they were able to apply, and even if you're the Winston jumping onto the Hanzo, the arrows just flying true at the moment. It seemed like nothing could take him out.
Yeah, I mean, Hanzo... like, Winston is like a dive tank. Everyone knows that, right? And Hanzo is a dive target. But it's not like Hanzo doesn't have any tools that can burst on a Winston, because Winston, he's not the tankiest tank, right? Hanzo can let the storm arrows go, do a good bit of damage, maybe leap out, and he has the care of his backline to help him out. He has the burst heal from the Alari in particular, incredible amount of healing. So I think Bristol maybe got a little bit unlucky with what map on Lijiang it was there, because Control Center is notoriously a brawl point. You know, if that was Lijiang Garden and they clocked onto the dive on Night Market, this could be an entirely different scoreline. So I don't think Bristol should be counted out from that map, but that was a very competent map for Houston there. And what do you think Bristol maybe could have done differently on that Control Center in particular to try to shut Jinzi down, and Jinzi and the Cassidy down? What do you think they could have done?
I mean, I think we mentioned before how frail the backlines were going to be without the Kiriko being able to TP out, so it was going to be a bit more of a dive target. So I don't mind them trying it, but they should have cut their losses before the end of that map there. I believe even potentially the Reinhardt would have been a bit of a better pick, that they were hovering, just to be able to make sure that the tank just wasn't building charge. The amount of charge that Zarya had was mental, and it means that you're forcing them away from the Zarya, and you know where they're going to end up. If your Zarya's controlling main, they're going to push out of either coast side or the server room. They've only got two ways that they can go, and when you've got two DPS firing like that, you can have one of them watching either side, and it means that you can protect the backline by destroying the front line. The best defense for Houston there was a good offense, and that's what we saw. So I think Bristol, yeah, they did have a rough time going to Control Center over Gardens, but the way that the two DPS on Houston were playing, especially after taking Night Market, which would have been potentially more favored for switching up the tank to go a bit more divey, if they decided to do it. I think the time that they changed it was a little bit off. If you're going to change it, you change it before the end of the map, and you try and get some momentum going when it was clear that you weren't winning Night Market, or you weren't winning Night Market on that comp. But at the end of the day, I think now at least you have the ability to stretch out the map. You have the ability to pick which map you're going to, and if you're willing to play something divey, maybe something like Gibraltar, that's going to not favor the Zarya in the slightest. You can play completely out of her effective range. You're going to force the tank off of that, even without banning it. And then you have the ability to go for it. But I believe we do have where we're going for our final map of the day. And it is going to be Gibraltar. That's not exactly too much of a surprise. And an Ana ban from, I believe... hold on, let me get 2 seconds. I don't believe we've been...
I think that is...
Bristol has decided to ban Ana. I suppose the Winston was banned by Houston immediately after knowing that it was Gibraltar and knowing that they wanted to play Winston previously. But you can still play something like the D.Va. If you've got someone that's competent enough on ball, you can play that as well. We've seen a couple of other tanks do well on this map over the course of our time in the tournament so far. We've seen a Sig hold down second point somehow for about 5 minutes, I think it was, against a ball team. And we've seen I've seen things like Orisa in the past work on this map, so you can make things work, but I don't think you're going to be able to effectively play Zarya here. It is going to favor more of the divey playstyle, but the Ana ban means that you're not able to move forward with the aggressive biotic nade onto the backline and be able to dive with it. So we'll see what the backlines decide to do. Again, I would assume that potentially we're going to go back to the Kiriko, whether they decide to go for something like a Lucio to pair with it, or whether they decide to go to a double flex support backline, which we've seen a lot in this tournament as well. Wouldn't be too much of a surprise for me if they go for that, but it's gonna be a fun map, I'll tell you that much. And with how well Houston played, even if they feel like they're in the disadvantage in what comp they're playing, if your DPS are hitting shots like they were last map, it's gonna be in your favor.
Yeah, I mean, Houston, they I mean, even on the first map we saw it, they're playing maybe mechanically a harder comp to execute. You know, they're running the Alari, a very mechanical support, particularly with the aiming mainly. Then they got the Hanzo and the Cass, right? So they're not even playing for like maybe a bit of a utility DPS. You know, they're not taking the Mei, which might be a little bit easier mechanically. No, they're going, okay, we're just gonna hit our shots and win. And that might be a little bit difficult on Gibraltar, particularly how divey it can be. But with the Winston gone, who knows, maybe they'll be able to pull something off.
Yeah, you're going to have to force them to close the space, and especially if you want to play the Hanzo again, you have the viability to do it, and just hope that things land, but I think that's a Roadhog through there.
Oh no.
Spacey's decided to go onto the Diva, which, I mean, is kind of expected, and they're not going to play the Kiriko or Houston, they're going to go with the Iari BAP, so much damage is going to come out of them. It's going to be, to be honest, Spacey is going to be the one that is going to potentially do the least damage if they're able to keep them at range. I was very scared seeing Amalga there, to be honest, but they decided to go back to the Roadhog. Not much of a better pick, but it is a better pick for this at least. And now we decide to go in this map 3. All winner takes all, and we're heading through Gibraltar.
See Small Mochi taking a little bit of control, but Amidio, I mean, just starting off early. Immediately taking down Alucard, and Small Hachi is going to be dropping so low. Spacey able to use that mobility, but Amidio maybe going for a bit of a risky drop down, but Spacey was there, but it's not enough. Kilday still going to be getting the kill onto Amidio, but Spacey's able to trade it back onto Alpha, delay the attack of Houston just that little bit. Small Hachi is going to miss the hook onto Spacey as Thyra continues to be under pressure from this Diva. Diva's just an absolute nuisance, but the peel from Small Hachi here for his Kiriko is exemplary, and Spacey's going to be taken down eventually by that Kiriko that the Diva was hunting so fiercely, and Small Hachi going to be getting a pick onto support main, as maybe this immobile backline versus Hog hasn't been able to come online so far.
Yeah, and this all comes off the back of Amidio dropping in a place where really it wasn't needed. And also that meant that they had to, well, they invested the immortality field to try and keep him alive, and it didn't work, and now you're just being staggered out one by one, and they're not able to find a footing in this fight so far.
No, Bristol, they're just continuing to go forward. Kilday, he's kind of having a field day right now. He's able to kind of do whatever he wants. His Spacey's going to be caught out, and I think this might be a bad stagger here onto Spacey. Look at the health bar. That's not even moving. This is cruel. Small Hachi able to just continue to take a lot of space on this Hog. The damage from Houston, it just hasn't come through. They're playing such a high damage comp. You've got the Hanzo cast, but he's good. Small Hachi's gonna find 2 kills in this little room. The lamp is gonna do nothing as him and Kilday just kind of wreak havoc onto Houston, and they're gonna be pushed to the second point already.
Yeah, you're gonna try and do damage to me. I walk forward at you. I do not care. I hook you in. God, this is the difference that I was seeing on Suravasa, is when Bristol were winning, it was because of Small Hachi hitting hooks and being able to capitalize off of the back of it. And when Small Hachi was missing them, it meant that they were losing fights. But it looks like Small Hachi's found those hooks again, and support main just caught out in the open, trying to scuttle back behind with the rest of the team.
Yeah, I mean, that is the gambit of running a Roadhog. If your Roadhog's hitting, then your team's winning. If they're not, well, then you're screwed. Right? That's just how it goes. And right now, the Roadhog's hitting, but so is Amidio, finding the dink onto Alucard. They're trying to stem the tide, but Small Hachi doesn't care. Just managing to shut down these DPS very, very easily. Amidio is going to be shut down, and Jinzi's going to try to go back to the Reaper, but Small Hachi again finding another kill, and there's just going to be a couple players left alive for Houston right now, but support main falls, and it's going to be on Invictus' shoulders with the captive son. Manages to land it onto Small Hachi, but landing onto the tank doesn't mean too much, as though they rip the blade with the Tidal Blast on him, and Thyra goes for the Kitsune, and it's going to be final fight territory, and Space is going to be demeched, and Amedio's going to try and make
Oh my word!
3 kills with the whole hog! 4 kills with the whole hog! Small Hachi's wreaking havoc on Gibraltar right now.
I didn't expect that. I'm gonna be honest. I said, yeah, a hog can potentially work, but it should have been a lot harder, especially with the high damage comp that Houston were playing for them to close the gap, and just they were allowed to walk them. They were allowed to walk forward, and from that all stems from Amidio dropping early in that first fight. They just were staggered there the entire time. They didn't catch a foothold. Second point, they didn't win a single fight. Third point, they didn't win a single fight. They didn't win a single fight in this entire map going forwards, and it shows in the time bank. 4 minutes 25 seconds. They finished with more time than they started with.
Oh my goodness. I mean, that is just how Gibraltar goes sometimes. There's a reason I never vote this mapping comp. Sometimes you just get stomped, and I think that's what's happening now. And Houston have, I would say they have Everest to climb, but they have the world to climb right now. They have to do so much to even get a chance of being remotely back in this game.
Yeah, it would be. Do they stick with the Sig? No, they decide to go back to the D.Va. Amedio's going to look for a nice little pick to start off with, and they are going to need something. They need something to start this fight off and give them back some momentum, because they desperately have been craving that since the start of Gibraltar. They haven't had any at all.
Yeah, I mean, Houston, they're leaning into the, okay, you know what, we're just going to hope our DPS can kill things. Amedio going on to the Widowmaker. It has the potential. We're going to see if he can land anything here. No, Alucard rolls out the way. And Small Hachi going to be landing the hook, I think, onto Spacey there. But Alucard looking for a cheeky little off-angle. Drops, though. Risky drop. Gonna maybe be punished, but good care from Alf there. The wave managing to keep Alucard from danger. His kill day drops very, very low, but again, going to be helped out by his supports as Amedio's going to be under a little bit of pressure. Drops the Venom Mine, tries to kite Jinzi there on the Genji. Not got on his signature Hanzo.
Ira's down on the Kiriko, and now you don't have as much sustain for the Roadhog. They have to play a bit more cautious. Spacey, though, tries to get aggressive, doesn't find anything off the back of it, instead loses the mech. Alucard goes down in return, but Kilday finds Invicta in the backline, and now they're looking to gain the pressure again. The Kiriko should be back very soon. In fact, Clara is back. She's back with her team. The mech is back for Spacey, able to stay alive in the D-Mech's form, and now doing so much damage on Small Hachi. They're able to stay alive, though, and now it's just an all-out brawl for point. Jinzi's decided to go onto the Genji, trying to put some pressure in. Alucard go down so low, but it's both supports, well, both teams eventually losing a DPS, but in the end, the blue wave gets to Bristol, and this is what you needed to start off Gibraltar. They needed some momentum. They do find it, and they need their DPS to start coming back, as they did on Lijiang Tower. Nice little headshot there to start the next engage by Amedio, just to get a little bit of confidence. I know it's a hog that's just walking forwards at you, but it's not going to help if you lose your Kiriko to start off the next fight.
Yeah, but Amedio brings things back to parity, gets the kill onto Kilday, and it's going to be Spacey v Small Hachi on the point right now. Invicta's there to help out with the beam, but the Deadeye from Alucard kind of finds nothing. He's going to back himself into a bit of a corner, but Small Hachi bails him out big time, landing the hook onto Jinzi and shutting down Houston there before they can really get started.
Yeah, the momentum shifted back a little bit, but look at the ult bank that Houston have at the moment. They have so much in the back pocket. The Captive Sun is almost there as well. Not able to build it up quite as quickly when you're looking to move forward aggressively. Means that you aren't able to get that turret onto Spacey or be in range of your tank to be able to heal them as much. But Jinzi needs to find something with this blade going into the next fight.
Yeah, we see them grouping on cart right now. The flashbang not going to find anything as Invicta goes for the Captive Sun. Amedio finds Kilday pretty early, but Alucard's just going to be going down. So much pressure from the dive of Houston. Spacey and Jinzi going to be taking Alucard and Thyra immediately out of the fight as Spacey hunts for more. Alf just going to begin dodge with the Wu Yang shift there as Small Hachi pays the brunt of that D.Va spam.
Yeah, the same thing seems to be happening. They're hoping Kilday gets enough to get this blade. They do get it eventually, and they go in, but it's used in return by Jinzi. They're trading blow for blow here, but it's going to be Houston who come out on top, and they're going to get second point as well here. They're not going to have quite the time bank as Bristol did, but it looks like they're going to be able to get third if they can keep this momentum up.
Yeah, I mean, Houston they've had a good attack, but they already have less time than Bristol. That kind of shows how well that Bristol did on their attack, to be honest. But Houston, they're putting up a very, very solid fight right now. All Houston have, though, is the Diva Bomb. Meanwhile, Bristol do have a couple more ults in their pocket, but when the time bank's 4 minutes, you can have 0 ults going into this and be fine. But Small Hachi's going to be under a good bit of pressure from Spacey here as he looks to just pressure this Roadhog away from his team. This Roadhog that's been such a menace this entire series. Emilio going to be taking quite an aggressive angle, looking for the pick. Both teams going for the Widowmaker, maybe the Ego duel from Alucard trying to match Emilio here as Emilio has been finding quite good value. Aim on to Kilday, there we go, that's the crit. Thyra gonna be trying to return and avenge her Genji, but not gonna be able to find anything, but uses the Kitsune Rush trying to get something going for Bristol on this defense. And all they have now is the whole hog to try mitigate stuff, but Spacey gonna be demout, but has the bomb to get back in mech, with Thyra gonna be shutting down that dart from Jinzi right there. And it's Alf just trying to cut back into spawn. He sees his numbers falling and they need to go for a final touch here.
Yeah, they're going to have to get onto point fairly quickly here. They've got to make sure Thyra doesn't go down either. Able to TP away, but now it looks like it's going to be final. Just all stations go for them. They're able to use the whole hog to get them off the point to start off with, and Spacey doesn't have boosters to be able to get back on there. It means that they get the kill, and they're going to force Houston back, at least for now. They do have a lot of time to get back there. They do have the Kitsune Rush to build back with, but Alucard's decided to go back onto the Ash, my word. They have to find something here though. The time bank is slowly getting slower and slower, and the more you're able to keep on you, the easier it is going to be to take some time bank out of Bristol when they come back to their attack.
Yeah, but Houston, they have a good few ults, but Small Hachi just going to be there. That's the Roadhog we've been seeing this series. Immediately getting a kill onto Invicta, stopping Houston's push before it can even start, and that's how you drain time if you're Bristol. You rely on Small Hachi to get those hooks and stop fight before they can even start, because if you get into the fight, there we go, another hook onto support main, and Kilday wraps up the kill there.
Yeah, we said on Bristol's attacking side, you live by the hook, you die by the hook, and they were absolutely dying by the hook on these first couple of points, but now it seems to have stabilized. Small Hachi's finding them again, and those first picks as what's making sure that they can keep this from getting all the way now from 4 minutes down to 1.5 minutes. It needs to ramp up here if you're Houston. You have the ults, but you need to use them effectively.
Yeah, but in the time that they've held onto their ults, Bristol brought a few of their own, but Houston going in with the blade. Jinzi's going to try and make something happen, but Alpha with the tidal blast manages to get the call to Invicta, but it's going to be trades either side. Just Kilday mirrors the blade, manages to kill Emilio. Thyra's built a Kitsune, but not going to pop it as support main pops his own, as Spacey's just going to be trying to DM all he can on the point. It's just going to be Kilday, maybe looking for the kill, managed to get the kill onto Jinzi. Kilday doing all he can, but Houston just about come out on top in that team fight.
But Kilday's bought time for them to get back. They've got much quicker spawns, and now it looks like it's going to be at least a 3v3 as the hook is hit again. Invicta found caught napping, and now it's going to be very dangerous. 45 seconds left, potentially just go off the map. Don't use the ult there. I mean, it finds one. How does it find Kilday? This is crazy now. Small Hachi going down very low, pops a whole hog, but doesn't find anything. Instead of support from Alucard, finds 3. The D-Mech on Spacey as well. The clutch from Bob is able to find it. Spacey finds 1. D-Mech as a baby diva, but it looks like it's not going to be enough. They have 17 seconds left to get back on this point. Invicta's back after being hooked in that last fight. The turret is down, but nothing else to be able to get there. They've got 6 seconds to get here after they have 4 minutes going into this final point. The Reinhardt's going to try and get there, but they're not going to be able to touch. Someone else gets there instead. Invicta gets taken down. No support for Houston. It's last ditch scenarios. Kilday trying to get in. Jinzi doesn't quite have the ability to stay alive, and after having 4 minutes at the start of point 3, what a hold from Bristol to see out this map and the series. Incredible stuff.
There needs to be a discussion started if Houston are the biggest chokers in USS. They had a 4-minute time bank that final point, and they C9'd on Suravasa. That, you can't write that. That is so... I feel for Houston. I really do, because they put up an amazing game despite being the lower seed. Even though it was very, very close, that was truly a very, very worthy battle to see who will be in Div 1, that fight. But both teams really brought their all that entire series. You know, maybe Lijiang was a little bit one-sided, but I think that might have just been because Jinzi and Amidio were just kind of having a bit of a miracle game. But credit to all of Houston, but particular credit to Bristol. I mean, Alucard kind of came up huge with that Ash pick the Bob at the end as well. Man, getting the headshot and teabag onto I think it was Amidio on the Tracer at the end. So well done to Bristol for that entire series.
Yeah, the fact that they were able to hold that with 4 minutes on a single bank. I know third's hard to push, but it's not impossible like that. The amount of ults that they built up should have been Houston's to lose in that final set of fights, but they do lose it in the end. It's a bit of an issue for them, but I believe we are going to get someone in for an interview for you in just a minute with Bristol coming out on top. We're going to have one of their players for you soon, so don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
Welcome back, everyone, to University Students Showdown, and we have joining us Thyra from Bristol Mental Boomin. How did you feel that game went? It was quite the marathon. It was, even for a best of 3, it felt like it went on quite a while. How did you feel towards the end?
It went quite well in the end. Apart from the second map, which we were a bit hit and miss on, we weren't sure what we were doing. But in general, we're quite happy with how it went, and we enjoyed it mostly.
Good.
Yeah, there was a couple of situations where it looks like you were in control of maps, especially on map 1 of Suravasa and map 3 of Gibraltar. You looked like you were in control, and then things seemed to be slipping away from you, but you ended up clutching up in the end. How did you fight that mental boom that is in your name?
I guess for us, we just kind of just vibed out. We saw what the ults they had, just had more plans going into that next fight and going forward. So like we're more planning ahead and what's happening, what we're going to do next. I guess is where our plan, how we got past that.
Yeah, you seem to be sort of living and dying by the sword as well of the Roadhog hook. it does work out sometimes, doesn't work out others. Is that something that you play into a lot in your games, or is it something that you decided to throw out today?
Our tank's incredibly flexible, but we just really like playing Hog, and so we just have learned how to work around the Hog, and from that, we just find it more fun to play the Hog.
That's fair enough.
It's less meta inclusive, so not like meta slaves.
Yeah, I mean, it might have been fun for you. I don't think it was fun for Houston, but they were just getting left and right. But where it might not have been fun for you guys was on Lijiang with Houston's DPS. They were just hitting every single head they could. So you swapped to the dive on control center. Was that like out of panic, like, oh my goodness, let's just go to dive and try shut them down, or was that like pre-planned, or what was the thinking?
Yeah, so I think the plan with the dive and control center was just we needed to try something different. We're wanting to focus on to the Hanzo, I think, or even the Ana a bit more, and just try and go hard and fast to get rid of those, and then clean up. So as I was chill with the Zarya, I could survive as long as I could, and just hope my team could get the trades. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, makes
It
sense.
just unfortunately didn't work out for us.
Well, all worked out in the end because you got the series win.
Yeah.
Nice guys. So,
Oh, thank you.
is there anyone you want to shout out from your team, or anyone in general from the game?
I think I'm gonna shout out. I'm gonna shout out Kilday, our Genji player. Like, this is his first year with us, and he's doing such a good job, despite the high intensity games. And he's learning very quickly. So he's my shout out today.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations on your win, and we look forward to seeing how you do next week as we head closer towards playoffs. We are going to give a great shout out to our production team today. We had obviously me and Sky Knight on the cast for you guys. We had our lobby admin Jam. We had our observers KPJ and Cake, and our producers Friday and Luau. But that is going to be us signing off for another round of live fixtures. But don't forget, in the midweek, we are going to be having some more streams for you. We're going to have our replay code streams, going through the games that we might have missed today, but we're making sure that you don't miss them by the end of the week. And as we get closer to the playoffs, it's going to be so much more important to keep an eye on what's happening around our tournament. So stay tuned with us, stick around, and we will have more games for you coming very soon. But for now, it's goodbye from me and Sky Knight and the rest of the USS team. Goodbye.